Hello everyone, welcome back. Today is a more fun, lighthearted video of what I'm comparing NFL draft prospects to Dragon Ball characters. It's really Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, no GT or OG Dragon Ball. Mainly because I just didn't find the right guys for like Roshi and all those guys, the Red Ribbon Army. I really just didn't think too hard on that. Instead, I focused on more mainstream characters, I'd say, with what they're most popular for, and a couple characters from Super I just thought fit very well. And the reason I decided to do this video is because draft week has a lot of rumors where they're trying to get certain players to fall to them, certain stuff gets leaked, and it's just uncalled for. A lot of these players, they're about to have their dreams come true, and a lot of these rumors just try and tear them down. So instead of like going out there and going after players, I decided to have fun, do something from my childhood I loved, and maybe some of these players grew up watching too, and they see this, maybe they'll get a chuckle out of it. But let's start off, and of course, we're going to go with the main protagonist of the show, Goku. Now, who do I compare Goku to? It's Bryce Young. Bryce Young fits the size of Goku pretty much. Goku is 5'9" in American height, inches, whatever. Centimeters, I know, I had to do some translations. But he fits Goku's size, and also, Goku in Dragon Ball is a fighting savant. He knows fighting like the back of his hand. You hear everyone talk about it. Bryce Young is the smartest quarterback in this class. He reads defenses the best. He anticipates open lanes for receivers the best. He is the smartest quarterback in this class, so I think it makes sense that you get the guy with the highest football IQ to the guy with the highest fighting IQ. Up next is Vegeta, and that's CJ Stroud. A lot like Goku and Vegeta, I wanted to do the two rivals angle here, so CJ Stroud and Bryce Young will always be compared to each other. They are the two main quarterbacks this draft that everyone has, 1 and 2. So they're going to be the guys who are going to be compared for the rest of their careers. People still compare Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota. So I think you look at these two and you look, well, who's more naturally gifted? That'd be CJ Stroud, which is why I put him with Vegeta. Vegeta is the prince of all Saiyans. He was born the gifted of all Saiyans, highest power level, minus Broly, but that's a whole different story, and I did not include him on this list. But he was born the highest power level. CJ Stroud is naturally athletic, and he also has a much better size for an NFL quarterback than Bryce Young. So he has those more natural gifts. Now with what CJ Stroud also brings to the table is like Vegeta, he's very smart. He knows how to read defenses. He has a good arm, and he is a very, very talented football player, worthy of being the number 2 to Goku. Up next is Gohan. And I actually struggled this for a bit because I was trying to figure out Prime Gohan was Teen Gohan. Who fits that the best? Who fits the guy who, if everything clicks, he's the most talented person in this draft, as Anthony Richardson. If everything clicks for Anthony Richardson, if he reaches the fullest potential you can, he will be known as the best player in this draft because he'll be a franchise-altering quarterback and will have many years in the league. Similar to how we look at Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, etc. Anthony Richardson, like Gohan, isn't as experienced. He didn't have much playing time at the University of Florida. He didn't get as many games. He had a lot of changing of the guard at Florida, going through a new head coaching regime, and a new offense coordinator almost every single year. Anthony Richardson needs stability, and I think, like Gohan, once he got that year in the time chamber with Goku, reached his full potential. Give Anthony Richardson a year behind the right quarterback, he can reach his full potential. Now, for Piccolo, I struggled because this one was hard. I need to get someone who fit the size profile, so I need to find someone who was big. No one's 7 feet in this class. If this was the NBA, this would be easy. But it's the NFL, so it's not. So I decided to go with who defended Gohan? Who protected Gohan the most? Well, that'd be Osiris Torrance, Anthony Richardson's left guard at the University of Florida. Osiris Torrance, he may not be the sexiest name in this draft like Piccolo, but he is very cerebral when you watch him play. He knows how to pick up stunts, and he is very good with his hands. But an underrated thing is he was an All-American this past year, and he was All-SEC. He's a very talented player that can hold his own against people, and is a potential very good left guard in the league if given the right tools. Like Piccolo, once he reaches his orange Piccolo, whatever you want to call it, he becomes a legit threat to whoever faces off against him. Now, Krillin, this might be a little mean, but it's Emmanuel Forbes. And this is not because Krillin always gets beat up. No. This is strictly due to size. Emmanuel Forbes, he's not a big dude. Krillin, very not a big dude. So I had to find someone who can fit that role of being smaller, but every now and then can do that one thing that messes everything up. And Emmanuel Forbes is the obvious answer for me. Emmanuel Forbes is a very, very good cover corner. He can stick on guys very well, and he is very feisty. But like Krillin, he lacks in the size department, which gives people advantages over him in reach, press, height, just overall, jumping ability even. There are certain things that height kind of limits you in size. But Krillin always found a way to come up when it was needed and help his friends like Emmanuel Forbes can with his teammates, as you saw many times in Mississippi State. Yamcha. I'm not mean enough to compare a prospect to Yamcha. He got fooled by a Cyberman. Everyone in this class is pretty much better than that. Frieza. Now, this one I debated myself with, but I had to give it to Jalen Carter. And before anyone says, this is not because of off-the-field issues, I'm not going that direction at all. When I looked at Frieza, I had to think he is the most well-known villain in Dragon Ball, maybe the most well-known villain in all of anime. Who is the guy that just terrorizes people when he plays him? It's just a terror. That's Jalen Carter. Watching people block him, it's not pretty. And just as we saw when he faced against the Piccolo in this, Osiris Torrance, he beat up on Piccolo like Frieza did in the Frieza saga. Zarbon and Dodoria. This I had some fun with because I gave it to Nolan Smith and Kaylee Ringo. Why? Because they were the underlings of Frieza. They were the underlings of Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter made them so much more threatening than they were. Just like in Dragon Ball, Frieza around Zarbon and Dodoria makes them so much more terrifying. Do Nolan Smith and Kaylee Ringo have a lot of playing ability? Yes. I think they're very high upside players if they hit everything right. But they were still underlings to Jalen Carter at the University of Georgia on that defense, making them look much better. Future Trunks. This one was fun. I had to give it to Keon White. And the reason I gave it to Keon White was, at the University of Georgia Tech, he had no help around him. A lot like Trunks in the future. He had no help around him. He is dying for help. He goes looking for help. He's going to find help in the NFL. He's going to find teammates around him to surround him and make him better. It's like Trunks did when he went back in the past. But not only is Trunks a capable fighter, so is Keon White a capable football player. This is not someone who needs help because they're weak. No, this is someone who needs help because the opponent is strong and you need teammates to help lift you up. A lot like Future Trunks got in his storyline, Keon White will get that in the NFL. Androids 19 and 20. I struggled with this one, not going to lie, because I was trying to fit something that would fit the takeaway power, the absorption of ki. I went with Paris Johnson Jr. and Peter Skoronski. And the reason I did that is they're taking away power from the defense. They're taking away that edge. They're taking away that pass rush ability. And they're going to be used to grind people into the ground on running plays. That's why I gave it to them. And they were the only two I really felt comfortable putting them here for 19 and 20. Now, for Androids 16, 17, and 18, this is the cornerback trio. Devin Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez, and Deontay Banks. Christian Gonzalez, Deontay Banks, you can put them for 17 or 18, whoever. All I know is Devin Witherspoon is 16. The big guy that lays the boom, the brawler, the big strong guy of the group. That's Devin Witherspoon. And Christian Gonzalez and Deontay Banks, like 17, 18. They're a bit more thinner. They're a bit more speed, move, all that. That fits them a lot more. And they're all three very talented people, which is why I think they all fit it, because they all are kind of bunched up in the same platform for me. No one's stronger than the other in my mind, but they all are great at one thing, and it makes them stand apart as a trio. Perfect Cell, that's Tyree Wilson, and this one I considered for a while, but the reason I gave Tyree Wilson is Cell is a big guy. Big guy. I believe he's over 7 feet. He might be 8 feet in Dragon Ball. So I had to find someone who was big. Well, Tyree Wilson. Tyree Wilson's arms is as long as Giannis Antetokounmpo, a star player in the NBA, who I believe is 7 foot. Tyree Wilson is a big dude. But just like Perfect Cell, when Perfect Cell was at his absolute peak, terrifying terror could not stop him It took someone reaching their all-time potential to beat him. That's what it's going to take to beat Tyree Wilson if he gets to his perfect form. And I just look at that, it makes sense to me. I think Tyree Wilson's a very talented player. I think his arm length and everything gives him a perfect advantage over NFL linemen in the future. Now, Mr. Satan. Again, I'm not mean enough to put an NFL draft prospect here, but I am mean enough to put a draft analyst here, and I'm putting Mel Kiper here. I think listen to Mel Kiper speaks for itself. He's a loudmouth who doesn't know when to stop talking. Fits him perfectly. Now, the boos, this was difficult. The good boo I gave to DeJuan Jones. Now, I'm not going to lie, some size played a big factor in this pick. DeJuan Jones is a big, big boy. But, like good boo protect. DeJuan Jones protect. And DeJuan Jones is no walk in the park. When he gets his hands on you, you're in trouble. A lot like good boo. If he fights you, you're in trouble. DeJuan Jones, big boy, big strong boy, you ain't going to move him too easily. Super boo. Now, again, this one was hard because I had to find someone who fits the profile of guy who just kind of is athletic, is very talented, didn't get enough shine, in my opinion. That's Lucas Van Ness. Lucas Van Ness has the hip fluidity of many great edge rushers. You could argue he has the hip fluidity of a cornerback with how good he moves his lower half of his body. But LVN, a lot like Super Boo, brings power. He is not a walk in the park. He will come and he will walk you down and he will beat you up. That's what makes him so special. It makes him kind of super. Now, Kid Boo. Kid Boo is chaotic destruction. Something you don't know what's going to happen. A force of nature. When he's coming for you, you don't know what's expected. And that's Drew Sanders to me. Drew Sanders is someone you can put an inside linebacker or on the edge. And he will make an impact. He's very similar to Micah Parsons in that role, in my opinion. But a lot like Kid Boo, he's not refined. He's just chaos at this point. If you refine him, he could be something much special. But as of now, he is Kid Boo of that just chaos, walking destruction wherever he goes. Beerus, the god of destruction. There was one guy that fit this build too perfectly, and that's Will Anderson. Will Anderson is a god of destruction off the edge. He destroys tackles for a living, and he'll get to that quarterback, and he will get that quarterback to the ground. And that quarterback ain't going to be moving the same afterwards. Will Anderson is not only strong for his size, but he is quick. He is quick coming off that edge. He will get in that backfield fast. It's like Beerus, pretty much the fastest guy in the whole Universe 7. Weiss. Now, Weiss I had to think about for a bit because I wanted to fit him in with a wide receiver. He is very light on his feet and moves without thinking with Ultra Instinct. Who fits that? I think Jack Smith and Jigba does. Because when you look at Smith and Jigba's footwork before the catch and after the catch, it is very instinctual. I don't know if he's thinking which way he's going. It's just, I'm cutting here, I'm cutting there, and you ain't going to tackle me because even I don't know where my feet are leading me. But it's very Ultra Instinct-esque, which is why I kind of liked it for JSN. Hit. Now, Hit, this was hard, and we're in the super territory, where this is just, it's a little bit more difficult than everything else. I was trying to find something fun, but I saw something, and I got a giggle out of myself with it, and it's the age. When I was trying to find something for Hit, I listened to some of his voice lines, and I heard him say, I've lived for 1,000 years. Well, Hendon Hooker's pretty old in this class. Let's put him there. But it's not just that Hooker's old. Like Hit, Hooker is a dangerous weapon. We're just uncertain about how dangerous he is. If Hooker is given the right situation, he can become an all-pro quarterback, in my opinion, with his accurate arm, very intelligent brain. I think he's a very reasonable quarterback that can go in the first round. But he's also like Hit. He's a bit older than everyone in this class, which is why I slot him in here. Frost. Now, the Universe 6 version of Lord Frieza. He's a much weaker version of Frieza, which is why I had to look for who is a guy I have a good grade on, who is better than a lot of people, but isn't close to Frieza. Well, that's Keanu Benton. Keanu Benton at Wisconsin is someone you put at the 3 technique and you have him wreak havoc. I've seen a lot of people compare him to Javon Hargraves, Cam Hayward, ironically 2 Steelers. Well, I have a 3rd Steeler that he reminds me of, and that's Stephon Tuitt. Put him in that role and he'll have a lot of fun and a lot of danger. I think like Frieza, he can reach that potential, but he'll never be as good as Jalen Carter, which is why I have him slotted in as Frost. Jelly Vegeta. This is kind of the clone of CJ Stroud, but he's not as good as CJ Stroud. But he still has a lot of talent and a lot of attributes you can work with. That's Will Levis. And I know I gave Levis a filler character for any Dragon Ball fan. I know this is filler. But it got a giggle out of me, so I'm sticking with it. Will Levis is Jelly Vegeta. Jelly Vegeta is a threat to Goku and Bryce Young, and he did hurt Vegeta, CJ Stroud. I think Will Levis does have some potential, but his potential is so confusing to me because I think we're overestimating him based off his attributes, his natural attributes, which is why I kind of view him as a lesser version of CJ Stroud here. I don't think he's as accurate as CJ Stroud. I don't think he reads defense as well as CJ Stroud, but his arm is as good, if not better, and his athleticism is as good, if not better, than CJ Stroud's, which is why I have him slotted in as Jelly Vegeta. Zamasu. Zamasu, it wasn't as difficult because I kind of like him as a villain, and that might be unpopular, I know. But I had to find a defender, and yes, if you notice, I kind of did most defenders as the bad guys here. That was just more fun. I had to find a defender that kind of fell under the radar, is very good, just maybe a little bit underappreciated, and I think that's Brian Branch. Brian Branch is someone who, if you watch him play at Alabama, he should be a slam dunk first-round pick. But from everything I read, he's a second-round guy. He's a second-round guy. He might not make it in the first round. I'm like, did you watch him play? A lot like Zamasu, he's a threat to the main protagonist. Future Trunks and Vegeta and Goku. He beat them up pretty regularly. Brian Branch is a threat to any quarterback in the NFL. He will give them troubles. He is very smart. He knows the passing lanes. He's a lot like a Minka Fitzpatrick. Maybe not as good, but still pretty damn good. Now, for Jiren, and this is the last guy, someone who is just kind of boring, but is insanely strong, maybe the most powerful person in the draft, that's Bijan Robinson. Bijan maybe couldn't be the most talented player in this draft, but he plays at a position that's lesser valued. He doesn't really have the personality that makes you go like, we have to have him on. He is this guy. He is a very, very good football player. There's nothing wrong with that. He's just not going to be as talked about as a Goku, a Vegeta, or as antagonists go, a Frieza, a Cell, a Boo. He's just not going to be as talked about as much, and that's just because he doesn't play the position that's going to be highlighted come draft day. And it's a shame for Bijan, but the talent is there, and like Jiren, he's an immediate threat when he enters the NFL. He could very well be the best running back after his rookie year, which is insane for someone entering the NFL. But that's going to wrap us up for today. Like I said, I had a lot of fun coming up with this list. I had a lot of fun with this idea overall. If you guys like it, I'd maybe come back with this with established NFL players, or maybe the NBA draft, maybe the NHL draft, whatever. Like I said, this was a lot of fun, and I hope everyone enjoyed with this. And have fun. Christmas is right around the corner, NFL fans.